Hi, folks. Today I'm joined by a new co host. The name's Kim, but it's not Ensign Kim. She's an admiral in the Star Trek fan network Starfleet International and is from Tennessee. Today we'll be discussing the third season finale of Star Trek Discovery, That Hope Is You, Part 2. Let's fly. In this episode, the lone Kelpian Sukal is recovered to Kaminar. Burnham and her friends take back control of the Discovery from the Emerald Chain, and we see the long-awaited return of Sahil from the third season premiere.
Lieutenant Sahil.
You've found your way home.
As did you.
What were your general thoughts about this episode?
It's a lot of emotions and action packed into one episode, more than I'm used to with Discovery. Really, not every episode's like that. But I thought I loved it. I tell you how I could tell how much I liked it. A lot of times during Discovery, I could be sewing or doing something else while it's on. But this episode kept me watching.
So what would you say you loved particularly about it?
Honestly, I'm glad they didn't leave it with a cliffhanger. That's my favorite part. I was so afraid. And then my second favorite part would be that nobody died except the bad guys. I was so afraid that one of the main characters would be killed off.
Right, okay. I sort of had the opposite reaction. Yeah, I sort of would have preferred if one of the main characters had been killed off, because I think like too many people survived the episode.
It's the only way we will all survive.
I'm sure the occasional extra got bumped off, but you know.
And of course, Rin died last episode. Then the Andorian.
Yes.
Obviously, I would consider like people's lives different from like the lives of characters, because it is fiction. And yeah, I thought like if they had killed off a character, then it would have like seemed to like up the stakes.
We can die here, or we can die stopping Osira and saving the Federation.
That's why I was surprised that nobody died, because they do yank the floor out from under you like when you see something sad.
Almost every aspect of this episode I strongly disliked and was severely disappointed by. I extremely didn't like the fact that in the previous episode, aside as it goes some ways towards finally becoming a redeemable character, and then she just returns to being a two-dimensional villain in the season finale. I thought the fleet from Navarre was far too small, especially given the likes of the huge Daedalus warbird and the Scimitar were amongst the Romulan Empire's vessels in the 21st century. Elements in this episode I did enjoy included the return of Sahil, the scale of the episode seeming bigger than last week's, and the ending with the Trill joining the Federation and Navarre heading in that direction too.
The Federation is continuing to rebuild. There is a lot of work to do. It will take time, but already the Trill have rejoined. Other worlds are considering it, including Navarre.
That was good.
But even then, I thought that this episode was less big scale than like the end of the second season, where they had like Such Sweet Sorrow, that two-parter, where there's like such big like space battles. In this, I would say like there's still action in it, but it's more confined. Like the settings where the fighting and stuff take place, it's in like the turbolifts, and it's between people. I would say much more than between like ships.
Adrenaline wearing off? Nope.
See, I don't notice things like fleet size. I'm more about the people. Going back to what you said earlier, I wonder why the Navarre had less ships. Or maybe were they doing exploration? Was that the only ships that they had handy? Were they concentrating more on blending the races than building their fleet? Maybe I hope they go into that. That would be interesting. I'm sure somebody will write a book about it.
It occurred to me that it might just be like a fad.
I was surprised they had a scimitar still. Though I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I didn't notice it.
But yeah, I was also thinking, well, this is the 32nd century. Like it's clearly like a huge gap between this and the last time we've seen like Romulan ships, basically.
I think you might have some dissatisfied people with once the Navarre know for sure now that they didn't cause the burn. There'll probably be some of them that will be dissatisfied at being melted and they'll want to break off.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because yeah, in Unification 3, they think that they had caused the burn. Watching the episode, I wasn't sure where the main sort of body of the crew complement were. Were
It's
they on
true.
the Federation headquarters?
They might have been. I don't remember that because that Osira, I was surprised that they killed her. I would have thought that they would have kept her and then made her be tried for her crimes.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a lot better, even if she'd like returned in the next season. Where she's doing time or whatever.
But she's not redeemable. I knew she was lying, even though that EMH said she wasn't lying.
Eli.
Eli, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she's redeemable. I'm glad she's gone. I don't think she's just too. Anybody that would kill their own nephew.
Sarah, no, please.
Oh, don't be childish. This is why they call them trance worms.
Please, Aunt Sarah, no.
Why didn't she just phaser him? But she deliberately did a cruel thing that she knew he would know what was going to happen and suffered. I couldn't be that mean. I mean, he was deplorable, but I know it was different seeing Orion female act that way.
Like, I can see what you're saying about she's not fully redeemable, but I just think it would be like more sort of Star Trek if she had repented and stuff like that. Because I think there's like so many instances where I was thinking about like the Horta and stuff where it's killing people, but it's just misunderstood.
That was a good episode. I really liked that. It did. Star Trek taught me that things aren't always what they seem. But the thing is, she's got relatives. I'm sure that somebody will come there because if she had a nephew, she had to have a brother or a sister. And so there'll be somebody else come back, be a villain. I think we'll see more Orion still. I think they're going to be the bad guys recurring, kind of like how the Klingons were.
Like the Emerald Chain. In fact, I was surprised by how there's so many like humans, or at least they look human, in the Emerald Chain, where it's supposed to be like an alliance between the Orions and the Andorians. I thought that was quite odd. I really like the parts where they're not just a straightforward villain and you're told to just hate this character.
That one guy was a villain. He had no redeeming characters. The one that died and Book yelled after him.
She's a queen.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. I thought the in the initial episode that he appeared in, I thought he was too much of a sort of two-dimensional villain.
That's what everyone says, and then they sing like an Alcorian sorrow hawk.
But I thought that in this episode and in last week's, I thought they did well in sort of fleshing out his character more. Even though, as you're saying, he is like completely villainous. I thought.
Yeah, he's like a sociopath.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool that he had sort of more involvement in the series.
What about that doctor that was working with Osira and he thought Osira had a good part of her?
You saved me. You have saved others. I know your heart.
Orion hearts have 6 valves. Blood flows in both directions. They are so much more complex than human hearts.
Of course, he had family, but he was completely fooled by Osira. So I don't wonder if he'll go back with his family or if he'll go do some stuff with Discovery and help out, because he made a point of saying he had studied different things.
Aurelio?
I've studied many types of empaths.
It's interesting, his wheelchair.
Yeah.
I like that. We haven't seen anybody in some type of wheelchair since Deep Space Nine, haven't we?
Well, you see briefly Pike in like the flash
Yes,
forward.
it would be nice to see somebody in a wheelchair type thing, because I know they can't please everyone, but it shows a positive aspect that that person is smart and can contribute.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's more representation as well. Actually, I just remembered in like the first season, and I think it's yeah, it's at least the first season, but it might be the second season as well. But you briefly see like a Starfleet crewman aboard the Discovery who is in a wheelchair. He's in a party in Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, for example, in the first season. I remember that one.
Yes,
What did you think about the portrayal of Sakal?
I thought the actor did an excellent job.
Yeah, it was
He
nice.
was very sweet, and he was terrified. Um, he was childlike, which he would be considering he lived alone except for holograms.
Hmm.
Um, I thought he's a strong person though, because he was able to go with their support. When he was watching his mother, and then it was heartbreaking.
Accessing archives. Presenting final entry before disruption.
Alone?
Sakal.
I'm a mother, and her knowing that she was leaving her child, that had to be horrible for her. And then the little scene at the end where she left a message saying to look up in the sky and it'll be your mother and father watching you. That was just heart-rending. But at least
Mm.
he's got Saru to help him.
Yeah, definitely.
When I screamed, when I made the world shake, I caused the burn.
Yes.
And how many people will want him punished for that? But he couldn't help it. He was a child. But I bet
Mhm.
there'll be somebody wanting him to be punished for what he did.
Yeah.
Poor little kid. He'll be overwhelmed. He'll be like somebody that was held prisoner.
And regarding that scene where we were both in Kaminar, it did make me wonder how much of season 4 Saru will be on Kaminar. I did predict that Saru would leave the ship, would leave Discovery.
Oh, well, I hope he comes back, because I had the pleasure of meeting Doug Jones.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
I watched him hold a panel together, try to, because the other members of the panel were, well, they weren't all there. Let's just say that. And he seems like a very nice man, and I like Saru. I wonder why they decided which race to portray everybody as when they were in there with him. Why those
yeah.
particular ones were picked, and I don't know which Shadira was. I recognized all the others, of course.
Well, I thought she was Heian. Do you remember that race?
Nope.
No.
I'll be
Um,
honest, drawing a blank. Wait, is
yeah,
that the one that had the princess that ran away?
yeah, Queen Po.
Oh, okay. I did feel sorry for Gray.
Yeah, so did I.
Do you think
Uh,
they'll find a way where he can be seen? I don't
well, they're
really see
planning to do that,
how.
aren't they? Yeah. I don't see how either, but they're planning to do that, aren't they?
And would they do it to all of them? And then would other trills want that? How would the trill homeworld feel about that, with where you could see all these memories walking around these other I could
Uh,
get crowded.
Yeah, I was thinking it might then be facing overpopulation and
I had a question for you. Um, I can't say her last name. It's the girl that's the ops officer next to the helmsman.
Washington.
Yes. What did you think about her being able to hold her breath?
I was holding my breath for at least 10 minutes by the time I was 8 years old.
I didn't know that.
At home, we'd free dive for abalone in the Winnica caves. It was as much for tradition as for sustenance. But that's how it was anyway.
Was that a convenient like trope, or was it just, did it fit in nicely and just people didn't know about it?
I thought, oh, that's quite a cool piece of character development when she talks about that
Mm-hmm.
initially, because it made me think back to
She grew up in a Luddite collective on Earth.
Oh, that would be good character development then.
yeah,
I
but
like that. And I do like that about Discovery, that they're expanding out some of the stories on people, but it's not much. There
yeah,
needs to be
that's sort of
more.
like how I felt about that line that Washington says.
pearl divers can hold their breath for a long time. I can't. I have claustrophobia. I don't even like going underwater.
You asked to see me, Admiral?
I did.
I did think the Admiral was, I know he was grateful to Michael, but it's almost like she was too easily forgiven, considering, he comparing her to his daughter and everything.
The point being, she didn't do things the right way. She did it her way, and it worked. Not long ago, we were standing right here, and I was staring into you for not doing it the right way. But I'll be damned if your way didn't work, too.
She does get a little headstrong, which I respect in a way, but you have to follow the procedures usually. So it's too risky when you're dealing with people's lives.
Did you enjoy the final scene with the Discovery crew wearing the 32nd century style of Starfleet uniforms and Burnham taking command of the Discovery?
Everybody ready?
Yes, Captain.
Well, being a female, I am glad she's got the ship. I just didn't know if it was time yet, but they don't have time, like the Admiral said. And she did say, wait till Saru came back.
Yeah, I sort of preferred more Tilly in command. I thought she was really great at it in the previous episode.
Do you think she'll still be first officer?
I think so, yeah.
Good. I was glad they had a little blip of Jet Reno. I wish they would show more of her. I really like that character.
Well, I've seen today that it's confirmed that she's back in the 4th season.
Oh, good. Because she brings a nice bit of spice to Discovery. I like her attitude. The uniforms, yes, I think it was about time, don't you? That they changed up their uniforms. But I did notice, and did you notice Dr. Culber? He didn't have the sciences color, it was white. For medical, so I guess they're going to have medical they'll have 4 colors now: the gray with the gold and the maroon and the teal blue, and then now white for medical instead of lumping it in with sciences. Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I was thinking about how it's sort of carrying on Discovery's tradition of having medical be white.
That's true. Did you see Books? He was in all black, and it was just a quick flash, but it looked like it was a black variant of their uniform.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit like Section 31 from like early in Discovery. Like all black uniforms.
That's true.
I liked the uniforms, and I really liked that the department colors are finally more prominent than they have been on the Discovery uniforms. And I'm looking forward to the next season and seeing how Burnham is portrayed as full-time commanding officer of the Discovery.
And how her relationship with Stamets is going to go. He was pretty unprofessional, thinking that, he was an officer and he took an oath and he was putting his personal life over the good of the many, which, that's been a thing before in Trek. And then at the end there, when he was hugging Hugh and Adira, and he looked over at Michael and she smiled at him and he just looked away.
Understanding. Sometimes it feels impossible.
I think he's going to be a little snot for a while.
Oh, right, okay. Well, let's maybe like a return to, I suppose, how the character was introduced, who was a bit like had an attitude problem or whatever at the start of the series.
Hugh will get after him. I bet he'll say something like, she did her duty. She did what was right to do, But he's all scared, which is natural.
At the end of this episode, what did you think about the Roddenberry quote and the TOS theme music being played over the end credits?
It made me kind of tear up a little. And of course, I've seen that quote before. But hear that music. It's just like the end of the Discovery season 1, where the Enterprise flew onto the screen. I started tearing up a little, and my husband said, "Are you crying?" I said, "No, are you?" And he goes, "No, there's something in my eye." Because it's just such a big part of our childhood and our adult life. I just want some peace and quiet. And I want people to quit fussing over silly stuff and watch Star Trek and learn from it and get to know people. That's why I like this. You know, I'm able to meet you and speak with you. And in Starfleet, we're having a lot of Zoom meetings because that's the only good thing that's come out of this pandemic. People have had to find alternative ways to communicate. And I like that.
Yeah. I really liked the quotes, and I really liked the TOS theme music being played over the end credits. But I didn't so much enjoy like the episodes, like, you know, up to that point. So yeah, I thought it felt like a bit like quite unearned sort of thing. And also I felt like the use of the TOS theme music, absolutely agree with you that it was appropriate for the end of the first season. But because like Discovery is now in the future, and because like the storyline and everything, you know, the connective tissue between Discovery and the original series has changed so much, and it didn't really feel relevant to me so much as to what Discovery has become about. And even at the start of the third season, where I noticed, well, in you know, in the opening credits, the way that the opening credits end, with the little sort of tag to the TOS theme music. Then I thought, well, that is rendered like really sort of irrelevant, because it is now in the 32nd century, and you know, you don't have like characters like Spock, where obviously he did in the second season, and you know.
Well, he was mentioned this season and they showed a picture of him.
Yeah.
But I think, and I
In
see
one
your
episode.
point, and I can see because it's like the Discovery's been severed from original series at time it moved. So I understand that. But maybe it's just more for the fans, just like a little nod and to reminisce, to remind, or just to reflect on where it came from.
Yeah, and also I thought, well, I guess it's still really quite nice because you've got like, well, Star Trek, you know, obviously it started in 1966, the original series, and then you know it's continued up to that point, and it is really all connected. You know, there are so many spin-off series, but even then, you know, there is so much connectivity between them all that it is related in a way. How many stars out of 5 would you give this episode?
Well, see, I'm different from you because I like different aspects. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Cool.
Really, no cliffhanger is the best part, especially when things don't start in September like they used to. I'd have to keep checking. Now, when's the next premiere going to come out? And I'd put it on my calendar. And then it'd say like Discovery's pushed their premiere date. Change my calendar.
I've really enjoyed speaking with you today. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for asking me. I've enjoyed this a lot, and I hope I get to do it again.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be good.
It was an interesting episode, and I've enjoyed speaking with you about this because you have your perspective's different. And see, we didn't get mad at each other because we thought differently, did we?
Yeah. That's a good
If
example.
only people would do like politics like that.
Yeah.
Why don't you like,
If you enjoyed this review, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll be back next week with the first of a new Scotch Tracker show, which will be called The Scotch Tracker De Boldly Go, and with new co-host, actor and presenter Charles Kelso, I'll be discussing the original series, starting with the second pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before. Check you later.